Hey guys, this is Andreas from Pocketables.com, and I got another reader request for a task creation which I'm going to show you how to do today. The idea is that instead of having a pattern or pin unlock, there's a sort of more subtle hidden unlock system where you have a lock screen with icons and you need to tap the icons in the right order in order to unlock the device. There's a few different ways of handling the actual unlock system. You can use the actual pin pattern unlock and try to manipulate that in Tasker. I'm doing this in my ice cream sandwich tablet, so just trying to manipulate the pin lock is not something I've had a lot of success with. So what I'm instead going to do is simply make Tasker do the entire locking thing. And the way that's going to work is that unless you enter the right code, going anywhere but widget locker is simply going to make the screen relock. So it's no pop-up saying you didn't unlock it, just screen goes black. Obviously you can't do anything when that happens. And when you use the action to it's called system lock, I think, to lock the screen, you need to be careful because you don't want to create some sort of loop. This is also true for reboot actions and things like that. You don't want to create something that actually locks you out of your device. So I'm not going to add that part until the very end, just to make sure that everything works before I start making it lock the device. And the way this is going to work is that we're going to have 3 profiles and 7 tasks, I think. And when you unlock the device, you're presented with 4 icons plus whatever else you have on your lock screen. You need to tap those in the right order, which will then bring you to the home screen and allow you to use your tablet as you want, or in my case a tablet, or it could be a phone. If you don't unlock it correctly but just tap the back button or something like that, you will see the home screen for like a split second and then it just goes black because it relocks. So let's head into Tasker and start adding stuff. The way we're going to do this is we're going to start by creating the profile that's actually going to lock the screen. So lock system. We need an event context variable set for win. The win variable is a built-in variable that always shows the title of the window that's up front on the screen, which means that if you're on your home screen, it's going to show the title of the launcher. If you open up your notification menu, it's going to show that, and so on and so forth. It's a very easy way to sort of determine what's actually being displayed on the screen. I'm going to create a new task, and this is where our lock screen thing is actually, our system lock task is going to end up. But we're not going to add that until the very end, so instead I'm going to add a flash for locking exclamation mark. When I save out of that, it's going to start flashing locking all over the place. So basically each time it's you see it show locking, the window variable updated, which would normally lock the screen. So when I go back into Tasker, I'm going to start filtering this by adding a state context variable value for win not matching widget locker, because we don't want it to lock while you're in widget locker, obviously. So we're just going to do like that. It will still continue to flash like crazy except when we're in widget locker. And then the final context we want to add is a way for us to actually turn this on and off, which means another variable value, this time for LOR, which is just my naming scheme for lock override, and it needs to match 0, which means lock override needs to be off. I tend to use 0 and 1 instead of actually typing out on and off. So yeah, that's it. So as long as the LOR variable is 0, this is going to run. If it's not 0, well, which is going to be 1 in this case, it won't run. So right now the LOR variable is 1, so we're just going to leave it at that for now because I don't want it flushing all over the place. And then we're going to need some tasks, and this is where it sort of gets complicated because we're going to have to work with global variables, and Tasker is just ridiculously slow when it comes to global variables, and because it has to sort of send off emails basically to all the different parts that uses it's not emails, it has to update everything that uses global variables when a global variable is set, so it's sort of slow, which means that we have to use some clever stuff to actually to make it make the task run in the correct order, which is sort of a system to get around if you're tapping the icons too fast. So my code for unlocking this is going to be cake. So I'm going to start by adding a task and call it camera. And going to task and perform task. This may not work until I actually create this other task. I'm going to try camera P. It's worked. So I'm going to create the camera P. The reason why I'm using perform task is so I can actually handle the priority setting. There are 10 different priority settings. Higher means bigger priority. So I always want to first the letter C to have the task that actually inputs the letter C is going to have the higher priority than the one that inputs A. Otherwise, if you tap it too quickly, Tasker is going to be confused and just go nuts. So I need to use this, and when you use tasks from a shortcut, the default priority is 7, which means that with 4 icons that input a part of the code, the first one is going to have priority 10, second one 9, this third one 8, and then the last one we don't need to use perform task because priority 7 is the default. I'm just going to do like this, and I called it camera because that's a C. Going to go into application icon and just find the camera app and just give it that icon, and then I'm going to create the camera P task. And what that's going to do is variable set S code, which is security code or something like that. Just I name variables like a pig. I'm going to set it to C, and I'm going to select append, just because I'm going to use this a lot. So that basically just adds a C to that variable. And I'm going to clone this one, and I'm going to call it let's see, CA. So let's see what's A again. What app do I have that starts with an A? Guess I need to figure that out. Alarm. Okay, let's use alarm. What I'm doing now is basically, in order to remember which icon is which letter, I'm going to actually choose apps that starts with that letter. I'm going to have one for C, one for A, one for K, and one for E. So I'm going to clone this one, and I'm going to call it alarm P. And the reason why I'm putting P is to know that it's the one that's going to be performed. And then I'm going to select and just change it from a C to an A. Then I'm going to clone it again, and I install Kick Messenger just to have one that starts with K. So I'm going to call that KickP. The interest is close to Kick Me. And change that to a K. Clone it again. And then we need the E, which is, let's see, email. And that one doesn't need a perform task because it's the last one and it's going to have a default priority of 7, so just need to call it email. So in email we're going to change this to an E. We're also going to add a flash for S code just to be able to show that it's working. Actually need to go and find the icon, application icon. Just going to use Gmail because it froze the email app like that. And then I need to clone this one a couple of times. One of them needs to be called alarm. And alarm is going to have the alarm icon, and its perform task is going to be for alarm P with priority 9. Then I'm going to clone it again, this time for kick. Already exists. Okay, probably something I messed with when I had some questions regarding kick. Like that. This one needs to perform the kick P task, and it needs to do it at priority 8 because it's the third icon we're going to input. So I'm sort of doing a lot of things in one go right now. You need to test stuff in between because there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. So before I do anything else, I'm getting a message that one of my widgets is having trouble updating. I don't care. I don't use this tablet for a lot. I went into widget logger. I'm going to start adding icons, and I'm going to use that using the task cut shortcut. So I'm going to start by adding camera. Then I'm going to add alarm. Then I'm going to add kick. Oh, that's not the right icon. Need to go into task and fix that. Yeah, I forgot to change it. Application icon and kick messenger. I scrolled past it. There we go. Kick. And then finally email. Okay, the logic behind this way of organizing the icons, I guess I will never understand, but okay. So basically, camera, alarm, kick, email spells out cake. You could, of course, just move them around so that email is first and something like that. Just make it look a bit more random. But let's just see that it works. I'm going to tap them in order. And you can see that it's the display, it actually spelled it out wrong. Probably going too fast. Otherwise there's a different issue. Yeah, it spelled out cake. This is what I'm trying to avoid with using the priority, because Tasker has well, the problem with Tasker is that it is one app that's designed to do 100,000 different things, and the system of prioritizing tasks that work so well for so many other things is actually ending up creating a major problem when you try to do something a bit special like this. But you basically just need to make sure you don't go too quickly, and then you can see it adds cake to the end of it each time. So I could spell out something completely different like this. But the idea is that we're going to clear this one in between each time. So when you sort of tap all of them, it's going to end up saying cake. So when we have that in place, we need to go back into Tasker and create a profile that actually monitors this this variable. So we're going to call that unlock ublock unlock event variable set, and it's the S-code variable that's going to be set, and its value need to match cake. And then it's going to run a new task, and this task is going to set lock override to 1. You may wonder why I'm using using this to set lock override instead of just making that one look at S code directly, and I just like having several steps because then I can manipulate a lock override from other places. Also going to make it clear the variable. Well, I guess it's not really necessary because we're going to do that anyways, but you can never be too careful. Clear the variable S code, and also go home to the home screen. So that basically means that when S code is set to cake, it will go, well, do all of that. It's going to set the lock override on so it doesn't lock the screen anymore. Then it's going to clear the variable and let's go home. We go in here and just change lock override manually to 0 and clear S code. Oh, go away. And then when we go back out, now it started saying locking because now lock override is deactivated. So if we had used actual system lock instead of the flash, it would not start locking the screen all over the place. But you can see that each time flash is locking, that would actually lock the screen. If you do lock the screen, then unlock it again. And if you now go back to the home screen, it starts saying locking again, so it would unlock, or it would lock the device if we didn't input the code. If we do input the code, it takes us back there. Now it flashed S code because that's just one of my debugging flashes that's still left. I think it's inside email or something like that. Yes, there we go. You can see that that one worked. And then the last thing we need is a system to actually reset the system sort of when you lock the device. Manually, I mean. I'm going to add a new one and call it mlock, manual lock. I can't ever understand what different profiles do 5 minutes after I create them because my naming scheme sort of only makes sense for about 5 minutes. Let's say, what did I just click? Yeah, it's in the event context category, display, display off, and that is going to be a new task, one that is going to set variable lock override to 0, and also variable clear S code, like that. So this is basically going to run each time you manually turn off the screen, and it's basically just going to lock the device basically. So we just, I guess I should save out the proper way just to be completely sure. When I lock the device right now and go back in, now the system is reset. So if I just go back, it's going to start flashing locking all over the place again. Each time I do something, it flashes locking, which means that would lock the screen. If I go out again and into it and enter the wrong code, nothing happens. I can continue going this forever and just play the piano. You can also sort of add the flash message to these that says, well, actually let's go do that. Just to show you what I mean. You could, for instance, make it a bit more believable that these are actually application by error screen lock on or something like that. I put that on the camera. So if you just tap it, it says error screen lock on. So it makes it a bit more believable for people who see it. But if we once again type the right code, it unlocks the screen. And now we can see that it stopped flashing locking, which basically means that everything is all dandy. Just try it again. Yeah, so we can see that now it actually starts flashing the screen lock on thing even when you try to input the code. So I'm just going to remove it for now. Like I said, there's an issue if you tap into code too quickly or something like that. It's might not work. So you see it didn't work. So you have to slow down a little bit. I keep having to relock the screen in between to reset the variable. It didn't work to me either. So you do have to do it kind of slow, which is an issue. There might be ways of getting around that. There we go. I'm not sure, I need to think about it for a bit, but basically everything is working now, so let's just go back into lock system and get rid of this annoying flashing thing and just replace it with the real deal, which is system lock. Scary. If I haven't done anything correctly now, my tablet is going to be a brick. No, it's not that serious, but so yeah, I actually activated the system lock now, so you can see how it works in practice. Turn off the display, turn it back on. So now I'm an unsuspecting user who found the tablet and is trying to mess with it. I see all these apps, I tap them and nothing happens. I'm starting to wonder if it's broken, so I just go back to the home screen and boom, it's off again. And I try again and just go back quickly, but I'm not quick enough to actually do anything. And even if I manage to tap something, it locks before anything actually happens. But if I tap in the right code, I'm allowed to use the tablet. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. Like I said, the biggest issue with this is that you need to tap this code sort of slowly to make sure that it has time to update the variable in between. It's even worse without the perform task thing. I tried it, but yeah, that's just something I have to live with until I can come up with a solution. There probably is one, but this is sort of like a beta version or something like that. But it does work. It does work. And if you need something like this to begin with, then I guess you can't be too picky about it. But yeah, it works. So that's basically how we do it. I can't say how secure it is. There are probably ways of getting around it, but if you if Tasker crashed, you would have a problem, and perhaps there's some sort of way to get into Tasker and deactivate it, but at least it works. So just for the sake of it, let's do it one more time. Here's the lock screen. You can of course put widgets on it and stuff like that. Unsuspecting icons that just happen to spell out cake because I didn't rearrange them. Tap them in the correct order, and there we go. So that's been a lengthy tutorial to how to create a very special lock system. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and make sure to check out all my other Tasker coverage on Pocketables.com. Thank you for watching.